Hey, what's good, everybody? So, I was actually making a video about murder and rambling on about it, and then I started doubting myself when I got to the sixth commandment about whether the commandment said, Thou shalt not murder or thou shalt not kill. Now, I'm going to warn you that this is really a warning. This is not an educational video. Because as I, of course, Googled sixth commandment, what I found out and later thought about, I contemplated this quite a while that, you know what, this is really just Google's version of religion. Some of it's crap, some of it's missing. All right. And one way we can judge sometimes on articles about which way this religion's going is to push talk and see what people wrote. References versus staying on topic, NPOV, Hebrew, thou shalt not, X, sneaky vandalism, libel, mood discussion in progress, blah blah. These commandments may relate to murder, but it's unclear how. Totally unbalanced. Needs serious work by neutral experts. Killing of non-humans moved from the lead. Okay. So anyway, you can go through those. I don't have time. I don't care about that. What I do care about is murder. But not just any murder. Murder as far as the Ten Commandments go. And, to answer my original question is, because if we look, thou shalt not kill, that's probably Latin. You shall not murder, Hebrew. Well, that's not Latin, that's Greek, man. So then Hebrew, or you shall not kill, the King James Version. All right, and according to this, it's a moral imperative included as one of the Ten Commandments in the Torah. Well, let's go on. The imperative not to kill is in the context of unlawful killing resulting in blood guilt. Now, remember, we're not doing this for educational purposes per se. We're basically trying to uncover the religion of Google because that's what this is, Google, Wikipedia. And what is the first thing on my search? This is what come up. So this is what people were looking at, right? How much of it's crap? How much of it's not crap? And in my opinion, when you're reading something, you kind of have to decipher for yourself through your own experiences. And if you don't have enough experiences, you just take what they said with a grain of salt and continue on in your studies. It's a personal journey. Everything in this life is, you've got to do it, man. No one else can do it. The spiritual aspects of it, nobody can make you more spiritual than yourself. Nobody can make you more physical fit than yourself. All right, so once we understand this, let's go on. So they do share a little bit about the Hebrew verb for murder. The original text, it's translated as murder, but it was a wider range of meanings, generally describing destructive activity, including meanings like to break, to dash to pieces, as well as to slay, murder, kill. According to the book of Numbers, killing anyone outside the context of war with a weapon or an unarmed combat is considered whatever But if the killing is accidental, the accused must flee to one of the cities of refuge and remain in that city until the high priest dies, or the revenger of blood can kill the accused with no legal repercussions. The Bible never uses the word retzach in conjunction with war, though. So, but the revenger of blood, that would be like the family member, usually a brother or whoever, of the slain. The act of slaying itself, regardless of questions of blood guilt, is expressed with the verb nkh, to strike, smite, hit, beat, slay, kill. This verb is used of both an Egyptian slaying an Israelite slave and of Moses slaying the Egyptian in retaliation. Yeah, well. There is some good stuff down in here, though. This is a good idea. The commandment against murder can be viewed as a legal issue governing human relationships, noting that the first four commandments relate strongly to man's duty to God, and that the latter six commandments describe duties toward humans. The commandment against murder can also be viewed as based in respect for God Himself. The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground, and now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. Genesis 4:10 through 11. So, the Genesis narrative also portrays the prohibition of shedding innocent blood as an important aspect of God's covenant with Noah. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For God made man in his own image. All right. Some weirdo coming up to my door, I think. Well, I'm guessing that it's working. I don't know. So, whoever the hell. Anyways, what are we looking at? Oh, yeah, this is a good part. It says the Torah portrays murder as a capital crime and describes a number of details in the moral understanding and legal implementation of consequences. The priestly code allowed the victim's next of kin, avenger of blood, to exact retribution on the subject, but the accused could seek sanctuary in a city of refuge. The right of the avenger of blood to such revenge ceased upon the death of the person who was the Jewish high priest at the time of the crime. That's weird. So, let's get through that crap. If y'all want to read it, Google it, find out their religion. Let's see, justified killing. Oh, yeah, they always think there's a reason to kill people. The Torah and Hebrew Bible made clear distinctions between the shedding of innocent blood versus killing as the due consequence of a crime. A number of sins were considered to be worthy of the death penalty, including murder, incest, bearing false witness on a capital charge, adultery, idolatry, bestiality, child sacrifice to pagan gods, cursing a parent, fortune telling, homosexuality, and other sins. Now, I like that they threw in their child sacrifice to pagan gods because it leaves it open ended in case God ever asked one of them to sacrifice their children. For example, the Exodus narrative describes the people as having turned to idolatry with the golden calf while Moses was on the mountain receiving the law from God. When Moses came down, he commanded the Levites to take up the sword against their brothers and companions and neighbors. The Levites obeyed and killed about 3,000 men who had sinned in worship of the golden calf. As a result, Moses said that the Levites had received a blessing that day at the cost of son and brother. On a separate occasion, a blasphemer was stoned to death because he blasphemed the name of the Lord, Yahweh, with a curse. Now I'm going to have to look into that golden calf. I was under the impression that it was a dummy idol. It was like made out of shit. All right. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, stuff don't always jive up, or don't jive, or don't line up. Things that I know that I've heard and read and seen elsewhere. Why is it this way or that way? You know, and like a bunch of books aren't even out there for you to read, but there's groups that use them, like the Maccabees. That stuff, not everybody reads Maccabees, you know what I mean? Weird. So, anyways, yeah. People killing people all over the place. Murder. I mean, if you murder, Bible clearly says in there, that's how you gonna go. I think there's a good story down here further. Yeah, here it is. Now, I can't pronounce none of this crap, so just deal with it. The ancient Hebrew texts make a distinction between the moral and legal prohibition of shedding of innocent blood and killing in battle. Rabbi Mark Gelman explains the distinction between killing and rats murder. See, and I gotta not say stuff because I might be saying some kind of stuff, ancient curses. I don't want to get down like that. I don't know their kind of magic. There is a difference between killing and murder, though. And he notes the different moral connotations. There is wide moral agreement, not complete agreement, that some forms of killing are morally just, and killing an enemy combatant during wartime is one of them. See, I think myself that the crime is committed once the pen and paper murderers sign off on it and take their little votes to send people off to war. That's the murderer right there. They're conspiring, and the conspiracy commits, that's like 20 years to life just to conspire to commit a crime, and they're conspiring to commit murders up in Congress and shit. Like, we didn't really give you the power to just send people over there to have them killed off, dude. So that's where the murder lies in that. That's the blood guilt at the top. You know, I think later on we're gonna see something about like some people believe that God has delegated punishment to the government, you know, so we don't have to kill. All right. We'll see what we think about that when we get there. But yeah, and you see, you was probably reading out instead of having to deal with me. But what is this? The 613 mitzvah, extending notion of lawful killing to the nations that inhabited the promised land, commanding to exterminate them completely. Deuteronomy 20, 10 through 18 establishes rules on killing civilians in warfare. The population of cities outside of the promised land, if they surrender, should be made tributaries and left alive. That would be Deuteronomy 20, verses 10 and 11. This is Deuteronomy 20, verses 12 through 15. Those cities outside of the promised land that resist should be besieged, and once they fall, the male population should be exterminated, but the women and children should be left alive. Of those cities that were within the promised land, however, everybody was to be killed, and I would speculate that was verses 16, 17, 18. I'm speculating. Check up if you care. I hope somebody comes along and cares. Because what I'm reading here and what we're like actually coming up with is Google religion. This is Google freaking religion, dog. Alright. Yeah, justify killing. Yeah, hell yeah, you can kill someone in your house, man. Who's this dude? Matthew Henry M, 1706. Commentary on the Whole Bible, Volume 1, Genesis to Deuteronomy. Christian Classics Ethereal Library. He says, a man's house is his castle, and God's law, as well as man's, sets a guard upon it. He that assaults it does so at his peril. Now listen, oh yeah, this is some stuff from the Torah, I think. It makes sense in a stupid way. If a thief is caught breaking in and is struck so that he dies, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. But if it happens after sunrise, he is guilty of bloodshed. So the thief does it in the night is not guilty of it. Jewish doctrine. Who knows any of this? Probably like a Jew. Whatever, man. Woo, this is some cool stuff there. Look how they got theirs lined up on this. With this 482, what is these? Let's see. Is this 613 mitzvot things? Jewish laws? And why they're their laws? Okay, don't commit murder. Don't accept ransom for life of the murderer. Exile an accidental murderer. Don't accept ransom from him. Don't kill the murderer before trying him. Save the pursued at the cost of the life of the pursuer. Don't show pity for the pursuer. Don't stand idly by when you can save a life. Set aside cities of refuge for those who commit accidental homicide. Break the neck of the calf by the river in ritual following unsolved murder, because I'm sure that's helpful. Don't till by the river or sow there. Don't cause loss of human life through negligence. Build a parapet in roof of the house. Don't mislead with advice which is a stumbling block. I agree with that. Help a man remove the load from his breast which can no longer carry it. Help him load his breast. Oh, load from his beast, man. Help him load his beast, fool. Don't leave him in a state of confusion and go on your way. Now, I hope you're well confused and we going on our way now. I'm just kidding. Come on, man. Let's watch this shit more. I'm actually interested now. Oh, life is considered very precious, even sacred by Jewish teaching. Yeah, but I think they're all about that abortion and shit. You shall not murder. Murder and protection of life. A murderer must be put to death, as it says. He shall be avenged. It is forbidden to accept compensation from him instead, as it says, you shall not take redemption for the life of a murderer, and there shall be no atonement for the blood that was spilled, except the blood of him that spilled it. It is forbidden to execute a murderer before he has stood trial, as it says, and the murderer shall not die until he stands before the congregation for judgment. However, we are commanded to prevent an attempted murder by killing the would-be murderer if necessary, and it is forbidden to refrain from doing so, as it says, and you shall cut off her hand, you shall not be merciful. And similarly for attempted fornication, as it says, if the man seizes her and lies with her, just as a man rises up against his friend and murders him, so is this thing. It is forbidden to refrain from saving life when it is in one's power to do so, as it says, you shall not stand on your friend's blood. That's the Rabbi Dr. Azrael Rosenfeld, supposedly. That's good shit. I got fired up on that. You can't even kill yourself. And Genesis 9:6 is cited in support for the prohibition of abortion. So, according to the Mishnah, older part of the Talmud, so it says, it is said of Hillel the elder that he saw a skull that was floating on top of the water, and he said to it, "Since you drowned others, others drowned you, and in the end, those that drowned you will be drowned." From Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva, it is stated in the Mishnah, if we were on the Sanhedrin, nobody would have ever been executed. So, like I said, I always keep saying, yeah, like it says here, because I don't know who these people are, but it might have been the Jewish guy who wrote this stuff, man. He knew what to write. Got fired up. Oh, this is scary, ain't it? According to conservative Rabbi Louis Ginsburg, every slain man who, because of murdering, died before their time shall stay in outer part of Sheol until the course of the time predestined them is run. Wow. So they stay ghosts for a little bit, huh? Makes sense. The New Testament is in agreement that murder is a grave moral evil. Well, thank God for that. And maintains the Old Testament view of blood guilt. Oh, man. Jesus himself repeats and expands upon the commandment, do not murder. The New Testament depicts Jesus as explaining that murder, as well as other sins, comes from the heart. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, slander. Matthew 15:19 in the NIV, someone's version. New Testament acknowledges the just and proper role of civil government in maintaining justice. Of course, because the Romans wanted to take care of you, man. See, even Pilate knew blood guilt, man. See, there's no indication in the New Testament that it is unjust, immoral, or inappropriate for secular civil governments to execute those guilty of shedding innocent blood. Nothing wrong with that, is it? Like the Old Testament, the New Testament seems to depict the lawful use of force by soldiers in legitimate battles as justified. The profession of soldier is used as a metaphor by Paul, exhorting the Ephesians to put on the full armor of God. Yeah, justify it. Why would you justify it? When John the Baptist was preaching repentance and baptizing penitent sinners in the Jordan River, soldiers came to John and asked for specific instructions regarding their repentance. John the Baptist did not demand that the soldiers renounce their profession. Instead, he exhorted them to be content with their pay. Don't extort money, and don't accuse people falsely. Be content with your pay. See, because they're not the pen and paper murderers. The ones at the top. Jesus was not condoning violence, as the very next verse confirms. It was to satisfy the prophecy of Isaiah 53 when he told his disciples to buy a sword if they do not have one. Now, if you have a purse, take it, and also a bag. And if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. Jesus was quick to correct his servant for the improper use of the sword and cutting off the ear of the high priest's servant. Then said Jesus unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? Yeah, but here's their little contradiction. Jesus replied to the question of capital punishment because of adultery to let him who is without sin cast the first stone. And no one did. Roman Catholic doctrine. Well, yeah, it's a bunch of hoopla. If it's so sacred, then why do they still like let people in their church that's all about the abortion and murdering babies? Weird. I don't even want to read their crap. Yeah. Yeah. See, now he don't even want to kill criminals. Pope Francis called for the suspension of the death penalty for the duration of the Holy Year because modern means existed to efficiently repress crime without definitively denying the person who committed it the possibility of rehabilitating themselves. Oh, yeah. Suicide Union talks about war and self-defense. Yeah, of course they're going to be all about it, man. Catholics are all about war. Just war. Elements of just war theory are explicitly enumerated in the Catechism. The damage inflicted by the aggressor on a nation or community of nations must be lasting, grave, and certain. All other means of putting an end to it must have been shown to be impractical or ineffective. There must be serious prospects of success. The use of arms must not produce evils and disorders graver than the evil to be eliminated. The power of modern means of destruction weighs very heavily in evaluating this condition. Reformation and post-Reformation. Oh yeah, here we go. Martin Luther. And he's just a interesting guy. So he asked the question, you must not murder. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we may not hurt or harm our neighbor in his body, but help and befriend him in every bodily need, in every need and danger of life and body. Martin Luther, The Small Catechism. Now, you okay? So the theory in this is that duality of thought, right? Because there's a positive and negative of everything. And the crazy thing about the way he thought was like his positive and negative, actually both aspects of it were positive. And the third option, of course, was always the evildoer's option. So yeah. Martin Luther summarized the commandment against shedding innocent blood as grounded in the fear and love of God and having both positive and negative aspects. Negative, that in we must neither harm nor hurt our neighbor's body. Positive, in that we must help our neighbor and care for him when he is ill. See how he did that shit? Alright, so the duality. And the other option is go against that and cause harm. Right? Easy to think. So there's your little tried out of thought. Now you're actually learning how to expound on your ideas when you do that, though. So Lutheranism was a good thing when I was coming up. Oh yeah, here's where he says that crap. In a more detailed teaching, Martin Luther explains that God and government are not constrained by the commandment not to kill, but that God has delegated his authority in punishing evildoers to the government. We have now completed both the spiritual and temporal government, that is, the divine and paternal authority and obedience, but here now we go forth from our house among our neighbors to learn how we should live with one another, everyone himself toward his neighbor. Therefore, God and government are not included in this commandment, nor is the power to kill, which they have taken away. For God has delegated his authority to punish evildoers to the government instead of parents, who aforetime, as we read in Moses, were required to bring their own children to judgment and sentence them to death. Therefore, what is here forbidden is forbidden to the individual in his relation to anyone else, and not to the government. See? Lutheran Church of Australia recognizes conscientious objection to war as a biblically legitimate. It has declared the church accepts the validity of a person's refusal to engage in military service. You shall not kill. So, like, when you see thou shalt not kill, that some of these people, like in Calvinism, like takes that shit to heart, like to war, like not even war, man. And like they got some good points because like you go back to the first murder in the Bible, and shit, let's hurry up and do some of this. It's already half hour into this thing. Yeah. All violence and injustice and every kind of harm from which our neighbor's body suffers is thereby prohibited. Christians are therefore required to faithfully perform that which is within their power to defend the life of their neighbor, be vigilant in warding off harm, and assist in removing danger when it comes. Calvin asserts that the same rule must also be applied in regulating the mind against anger, arguing that since God sees the heart and mind, the commandment against shedding innocent blood also prohibits murder of the heart and requires a sincere desire to preserve our brother's life. The hand does not commit the murder unless it is conceived by the mind under the influence of wrath and hatred. According to Calvin, where wrath and hatred dwell, there is an inclination to do mischief. Quoting the Bible, whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer. 1 John 3:15. And whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. Gospel of Matthew 5:22. John Calvin also makes a case that the command against shedding blood is founded both in the creation of man in the image of God and in the need for a man to cherish his own flesh. Oh well, it is what it is, man. Don't murder, don't kill. Alright, Johnny? Yeah, but not against killing in lawful war. See, they always want. And who's at fault there? The government. This is one of the laws of nature and was strongly enforced by the precepts given to Noah and his sons. Genesis 9, 5 and 6. It does not forbid killing in lawful war or in our own necessary defense, nor the magistrates putting offenders to death, for those things tend to the preserving of life. But it forbids all malice and hatred to the person of any, for he that hateth his brother is a murderer, and all personal revenge arising therefrom, also all rash anger upon sudden provocations, and hurt said or done or aimed to be done in passion. Of this our Savior expounds this commandment, Matthew 5:22. And as that which is worst of all, it forbids persecution, laying wait for the blood of the innocent and excellent ones of the earth. Matthew Henry. Pacifists. Anglicanism. Yeah, the Anglicans, they don't like war either, and I agree. It's pretty stupid to fucking fight war to settle a dispute. So what we learned about the sixth commandment, thou shalt not murder. Well, what I learned was it says don't murder, man. It doesn't say don't kill. Right? Don't murder. Doesn't say don't kill. They made it so it's okay. This is all right. Yeah, let's make a list of what the hell this actually said, dude. All right. From the different perspectives, it got that exciting stuff right off the bat about revenge killing and all this, the blood murder. So, right. And then it like took us through further into a New Testament perspective of all life is valuable. Don't murder. Even Martin Luther said don't murder. But he put it all in, like he made it even more like of a conscious thing, right? He had a conscious idea of this, like more than no, don't murder, don't kill. More, it's the government. That's what the government does. I mean, when you read the New Testament, you're like, yeah, they keep putting it off. So it half makes you think some Romans wrote that crap. But anyways, you keep going through, and now we expound on the ideas of conscientious objectors and pacifism, and it's okay. As long as the government's off killing, it's okay, right? It's not murder. So, thou shalt not kill. It don't affect us, does it? But now I put it in your heart and you realize that you're paying taxes to these guys, right? You're paying for this whole system of destruction. You don't remember what it said in the past? If we would just stop killing, then there would be no more murder, right? Stop murdering and there won't be no more murder. All right, y'all.